What does it mean when a U.S. peace envoy spends 4 hours with Vladimir Putin, yet emerges with no clear results? On April 11, 2025, Steve Witkoff, President Donald Trump's special envoy, met with the Russian leader in St. Petersburg to discuss settling Ukraine, according to the Kremlin. But after hours of closed-door talks, there's no ceasefire, no handshake deal, just photo ops and speculation about some very expensive tea. Meanwhile, Trump is losing patience, calling the Ukraine war senseless and demanding Moscow get moving, while Witkoff, on his third trip to Russia, praised Putin as a great leader. Despite back-channel efforts in D.C., like prisoner swaps and embassy talks, Russia continues to shrug off U.S. demands. Let's break this down in 6 steps, exploring the stakes, the players, and what this diplomatic stalemate means for global stability. No fluff, just real insights to help you navigate this critical moment. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. A 4-hour meeting with no results. On April 11, 2025, Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy tasked with brokering peace in Ukraine, met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg for a marathon 4-hour closed-door session. The Kremlin confirmed the talks focused on settling Ukraine, but offered no specifics on progress, as reported by Reuters. State TV footage showed Putin greeting Witkoff at the presidential library, with the U.S. envoy accompanied by Kirill Dmitriev, Putin's investment envoy, according to Izvestia. Despite the lengthy discussion, there was no announcement of a ceasefire, no visible agreements, just diplomatic photo ops that left observers guessing. This meeting marks Witkoff's third visit to Russia this year, highlighting the Trump administration's ongoing push for a Ukraine ceasefire. Yet, the lack of tangible outcomes underscores the challenges of negotiating with Moscow. Posts on X reflect the uncertainty, with some users noting the absence of a breakthrough despite the high-profile summit. The Kremlin's silence on results, paired with the symbolic nature of the meeting, suggests that while dialogue continues, Russia may not be ready to concede to U.S. demands, leaving the war's trajectory unchanged for now. Chapter 2. Trump's frustration and Witkoff's praise. President Trump is growing visibly frustrated with the stalled Ukraine peace process. On April 11th, he called the war senseless and demanded that Moscow get moving, as reported by Yahoo News. His impatience reflects a broader push to end the conflict, which has raged since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022. Trump has been vocal about wanting a swift resolution, previously suggesting a 30-day ceasefire as a first step toward permanent peace, a proposal Ukraine accepted, but Russia has resisted. Both leaders agreed this conflict needs to end with a lasting peace, the White House said, after a Trump-Putin call on March 18th. But Putin's refusal to commit to a full truce has kept tensions high. Meanwhile, Witkoff's approach has stirred controversy. During his third trip to Russia, he called Putin a great leader, a statement that contrasts sharply with Trump's demands, as noted by Yahoo News. Witkoff's praise echoes earlier sentiments. On March 24th, he described Putin as super smart and gracious, even revealing that Putin had commissioned a portrait of Trump as a gift. These comments, made during interviews with pro-Trump outlets like Fox News, have alarmed European allies, who fear the Trump administration is too aligned with Kremlin narratives. Witkoff's flattery may be a diplomatic tactic, but it risks undermining the U.S. position as a firm negotiator. Chapter 3. The stakes in Ukraine. The Ukraine conflict remains a geopolitical flashpoint, with both sides entrenched after 3 years of war. Russia controls just under 20% of Ukraine, including parts of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson, regions it illegally annexed in 2022, along with Crimea, seized in 2014. Putin has demanded that Ukraine cede these territories fully, limit its army, and abandon NATO aspirations, conditions Kyiv views as capitulation. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of using ceasefire talks to postpone peace, a sentiment echoed in his March 12th The Anchikun post. Russia seeks to prolong the war and postpone peace for as long as possible. Recent battlefield developments add complexity. In Russia's Kursk region, where Ukrainian forces launched a surprise offensive in 2024, Russian troops have regained significant ground, encircling Ukrainian units, as Putin noted on March 13th. This shift strengthens Moscow's negotiating position, allowing Putin to drag out talks while maintaining military pressure. Ukraine, meanwhile, continues to face devastating Russian attacks. On March 23rd, drone strikes in Kyiv killed 3 people, including a child and a family of 3 in Zaporizhzhia, as reported by the BBC. These ongoing assaults highlight the urgency of a ceasefire, but also Russia's reluctance to halt its offensive. Chapter 4. U.S. Russia Diplomatic Moves. Despite the lack of a ceasefire, U.S. Russia diplomacy is showing signs of thaw. In D.C., officials are engaging in prisoner swaps and reopening embassy talks, reminiscent of Cold War-era détente, as noted by Yahoo News. On April 6th, Kirill Dmitriev, a key Putin aide and head of Russia's $10 billion sovereign wealth fund, visited the White House, a rare move for a sanctioned Russian official. Dmitriev's meetings, which he publicized on social media, signal Moscow's interest in transactional deals, potentially involving joint investments in Arctic resources or rare earth minerals. Witkoff has been central to these efforts. His St. Petersburg meeting follows earlier talks in Moscow and Saudi Arabia, where he negotiated a prisoner swap for American schoolteacher Mark Fogel in 2024. The Trump administration has also pushed for a Black Sea maritime ceasefire, with Witkoff noting on March 24th that progress on this front could lead to a broader truce. However, Russia's insistence on addressing the root causes of the war, such as Ukraine's NATO aspirations and territorial concessions, remains a sticking point, as Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov reiterated last week. These maximalist demands suggest Moscow is leveraging its battlefield gains to extract major concessions. Chapter 5. Global Reactions and Concerns. The U.S.-Russia talks have sparked alarm among European allies, who fear Trump's approach leans too heavily toward Kremlin interests. Witkoff's praise of Putin has fueled concerns, especially after he echoed Kremlin talking points in a March 22nd interview with Tucker Carlson, claiming the occupied Ukrainian regions, Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson, were Russian-speaking and supported annexation through referenda. These referenda, widely dismissed as shams by the international community, were conducted under duress, with voting at gunpoint, as CNN reported. The United Nations General Assembly rejected them as illegal in 2022, a stance reaffirmed by then-Secretary of State Antony Blinken. European leaders worry that Putin may use any ceasefire to rearm and launch further attacks, a concern heightened by Russia's recent violations of a limited energy infrastructure truce. On April 6th, Ukraine's Orysia Lutsevich from Chatham House stated, "We have no ceasefire," period, noting Russia's conditions, like sanctions relief, undermine progress. Estonia has warned that Putin must face red lines to prevent further delays, reflecting broader European frustration with Moscow's tactics. Meanwhile, China and Iran, both Russian allies, add complexity. Witkoff's next stop in Oman on April 12th to discuss Iran's nuclear program underscores the interconnected nature of these geopolitical tensions. Chapter 6. A stalemate with global stakes. The 4-hour Putin-Witkoff meeting in St. Petersburg reveals a stark geopolitical reality. Despite diplomatic overtures, Russia holds the upper hand in Ukraine talks, and the U.S. push for peace remains elusive. Putin's refusal to budge, coupled with his battlefield advances, allows him to dictate terms, while Trump's frustration signals the limits of American leverage. Witkoff's praise of Putin, though likely a negotiating tactic, risks alienating NATO allies already wary of Moscow's intentions, especially as Russia's violations of partial truces fuel skepticism about its commitment to peace. Globally, This stalemate underscores the fragility of U.S.-Russia relations. Prisoner swaps and embassy talks hint at détente, but without a ceasefire, the war's toll continues, threatening regional stability and global energy markets. The path forward demands a delicate balance, pressuring Russia without escalating conflict, all while navigating the broader tensions with Iran and China. For now, the Ukraine war remains a test of diplomatic resolve, with the world watching to see if peace can prevail or if the stalemate will deepen.